Anyway. Okay, so this is lesson 6-1. Okay, what we're going to do today is called like composition of functions, basically, when you take your g of x and you plug it into your f of x kind of thing, okay? So question A right here, though I need you to know how to say this, you guys. This is f of x minus 1, okay? So what that means is you go into this f of x, which is right here, and wherever you see this x, you replace it with x minus 1. Okay, so everybody put equals, and then it's 3 multiplied by x minus 1 plus 4. Okay, now I want you to freeze right there. I know that's easy. I know you get it. The biggest confusion is people think they're solving for x. People will go x equals, and they'll give me some kind of number. You're not solving for x. All you're doing is putting an x minus 1 in for x, and then simplifying the right-hand side. So guys, look, this is going to be your answer, just simplified. That's all you have to do. So your answer is an expression. So if you distribute the 3, you get 3x minus 3 plus 4. Add those together, you get 3x plus 1, and you're done. Literally, you're done. Hey guys, I want to talk to you for a second about highlighting. Will you listen to this? Why do you highlight? Like, what is the point of highlighting? That it's weird. Why do you do that? Someone tell me. One reason, just one reason. It's so we can find your answer fast. That's the only reason. Here it is, there's your answer. Here it is, there's your answer. It's just for speed, okay? So some of you did a graph, and then you took your highlighter and you did this over top of your graph, okay? That's distracting. It doesn't serve a purpose. So just understand that the only reason I have you highlight, the only reason, so we can find that answer and we can find it quick, okay? So don't highlight like that on the graph, please. Okay, so find g of x plus h. So right here, guys, and right there, you're going to replace that x with x plus h. So in parentheses, x plus h squared plus x plus h minus 2. Everybody freeze for 2 seconds. I didn't put my second x plus h in parentheses. And another thing, guys, a lot of people forget to put x plus h there. They'll just keep it in x, but you have to replace both of them. Some people will put parentheses around the x plus h. Look at that. Does that do me any good to put parentheses around the x plus h? Talk to me. No, and it's not necessary. So if you do it, it's fine, but I like to write it as simple as possible, so then it's easier. So I'm going to write mine like that, okay? X plus h times x plus h is not x squared plus h squared. You have to FOIL it. So when you FOIL it, you get x to the second plus 2hx plus h squared plus x plus h minus 2. You guys, that's your answer, because you can't add any of those things together. They all have different variables. So that's your answer. You highlight it and you're done. It's as simplified as you can get it. Okay? Okay, question 1, composition of functions. So question 1a, you guys see this right here? This is important. Look, see this f of g of x and this f of g of x? They mean exactly the same thing. Okay, underneath that, I want you to write this down, okay? Don't go ahead of me. If you're already started on 1a, I want you to stop, okay? Okay, so everybody write f, and then I want you to write of g, and then I want you to write of, and then put an x. So the way you say that is f of g of x, okay? You need to know how to say it properly. Okay, so look at question 1a. I think it's tougher to do the problem when it's written like that. So if it's given like that, the very first thing I want you to do is to rewrite it so that it looks like that. Those mean exactly the same thing, okay? Then I want you to take this g of x and replace it with what g of x is. So this is f of x minus 4. And now I'm basically back to my last problem. Guys, look, I take this f of x right here, and right there where I see that x, I'm going to put in x minus 4. So it's 2 times x minus 4 plus 1. Please remember, I'm not solving for x. I'm not going to get x equals. I'm just going to take this right-hand side and simplify it, and that's my answer. So it's 2x minus 8 plus 1. Simplify it, I get 2x minus 7, and I'm done. I'm not trying to move my 7 over and divide by 2. I'm not solving. I'm saying in my f of x. If I put in x minus 4, what do I get? Okay, let's do question B. Everybody go g of f of x. I want you to write it like that. Then I want you to take this f of x and replace it with what f of x is. So that's 2x plus 1. Then you go into that g of x, which is here highlighted in pink. And where you see that x, now you put in 2x plus 1. So I go 2x plus 1 minus 4. That gives me 2x minus 3. Highlight my answer, and I'm done. That easy. Okay, everybody just freeze for 2 seconds. Who says I'm totally with you? I'm totally good. Okay, I want to say something. I want to see if you can follow what I'm saying. Okay, listen to this right here. This right here means take your g of x, plug it in to your f of x wherever you see an x. Let me say the other one. Okay, this one means take your f of x, plug it in to the g of x equation wherever you see an x. Who says I understand? Let me see. Okay, wonderful. Okay, this one right here, you guys compare A and B to C and D. Do you see how C and D have numbers, 3 and -2? They don't have a variable, okay? When you have a number, what I want you to do is I want you to go from right to left. So you're going to go backwards, okay? When we read from left to right. When you do these problems, you're going to go the opposite, so it's a little awkward, okay? First thing I want you to do is to rewrite it in the way that I think is easier, f of g of 3. Okay, so write it like that. They mean the same thing. I think that way's easier. So look what you do. You do what's on the right first. So you find g of 3. So you go into that g of x. Right there where you see an x, you put in a 3. So 3 minus 4 gives me -1. Now, let me show you something. This will help you to always remember. Guys, look. I just found out that g of 3 is -1. Okay, everybody look forward right here for just a second. I could cross that out and replace it with a -1 because that's what it's equal to. Then you look at that and it tells you exactly what to do. What do? Well, now you do f of -1. So go into that f of x, wherever you see an x, put a -1. So it's 2 times -1 plus 1. That's -2 plus 1, which is a -1. You only have one answer, and the one answer you have is that final number, which is a -1. Okay? Okay, let's do the next one. First thing we're going to do is find f of -2. So right here, everybody write f of -2 equals. Okay? Go into that f of x. 2 times -2 plus 1, that's -4 plus 1, which is a -3. So f of -2 is -3. Now I'm going to find g of -3. So go into your g of x, put in a -3, you get -3 minus 4, that gives you a -7, highlight your answer, and you're done. That's it. Okay, who says got it? I'm totally good. Okay, yay. Okay. Question 2a. Here's f of x, here's g of x. Find the following and list their domains. So the domains is their tricky part, okay? The other part I think is pretty easy. Okay, everybody stay right with me, okay? Everybody go f of g of x. Take that g of x and replace it with what g of x is, which is the square root of x. Now go into f of x, and right here where you see that x, put in square root of x. So it's the square root of x squared. What is the square root of x squared, everybody? Just x. Yeah. X is your answer, and you're done. Okay. Now, the tricky part is domain. Okay, everybody write down the word domain. If you look at your answer, and you look for those 3 things that we talked about on domain, an even root that's not on the bottom. Do I have that in my answer? No. Do I have a fraction with an x on the bottom that's not an even root? No. Do I have an even root on the bottom? No. I don't have any of those things. So it looks like the domain is all real numbers, okay? I want you to write there where it says domain, I want you to write in and out. You have to look at what you put in, and you have to look at what comes out. What comes out, I'm talking about the solution. So you look at that. That domain is everything. But you also have to look at what goes in. What did I plug in? Square root of x. What's the domain of a square root? The inside can't be negative, okay? So you would say x must be greater than or equal to 0, and that's your domain. So you can't just look at your answer. You have to look at what you put in and your answer, okay? Okay, let's do another one. G of f of x. Okay, so I'm going to go G of f of x. So that's G of x squared. Now I go into that G of x, put in an x squared. So guys, that's the square root of x squared. The square root of x squared is what, everybody? It is an x. Yeah, it is an x. So I got the same answer. So you would think that the domain is the same, right? Well, let's check. Look, let's check what comes out. So my solution was x. My answer is an x. Are there any restrictions to an x? No. What comes in is an x squared. I don't have an even root. I don't have a fraction with an x on the bottom. I don't have a fraction with an even root on the bottom. I have no restrictions. Therefore, the domain is everything. Okay? So even though the answers were the same, that doesn't mean that the restrictions are going to be the same. You have to look at it problem by problem. Okay? All right, question 3. Same problem. Now this is going to get ugly with fractions, okay? Take your pencil and go like this and divide your paper in half, okay? Let's write really small, okay? On one side, let's write f of g of x, and I'm going to write it the good way to begin with. And then on this side, let's find g of f of x, okay? So right here, replace that with what g of x is, which is 1 over x. Now go into the f of x, and right here, replace it with 1 over x. So guys, look, 1 over x plus 3. Big long fraction bar, 1 over x minus 2. Every single person in this room should know the next step. Tell me what I need to do next to start cleaning this thing up. Common denominator, exactly right. Here's where people mess up. Look right here. See this fraction bar that's right there? That's the main fraction bar. I want you to draw it really long. Then the other fraction bars, you're going to write them shorter so you don't get confused, okay? So on the top, your common denominator is going to be an x, okay? Now look, this guy right here already had the x, so I just put a 1. This is 3 over 1 right here, and it doesn't have the x. So I have to multiply the top and bottom by x, so that gives me 1 plus 3x, okay? In the denominator, I need to get a common denominator, which is also going to be x. So this guy right here in green, guys, already has the x. So I put the 1 down. This guy right here that I'm highlighting in pink is missing the x. So I have to write minus 2x. Okay, so there's my common denominators. Who says I'm totally with you? Let me see. Great. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to go like this and just kind of dash it so you can see what I've done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it as 1 plus 3x over x divided by 1 minus 2x over x. So all I did is take that main division bar and wrote it as a division symbol. Now I'm going to write that division symbol as a multiplication symbol and flip the second fraction upside down. The next step is to not to multiply yet. Before you multiply, someone raise your hand or someone just holler out, what do I have to do first? What should I look for? I'm not going to take the x and distribute it on the top and take the x and distribute it on the bottom. I'm not going to do that. If you can cancel is exactly right. And can I cancel? Yes or no? Yes. This x cancels with this x. So your answer is 1 plus 3x over 1 minus 2x. And that right there is what you're going to highlight. That's your final answer. Okay? Now they're asking me for domain. What comes out? 1 minus 2x. Everybody go, 1 minus 2x cannot be 0. So that means a negative 2x cannot be a negative 1. Divide, x cannot be equal to 1/2. So that's part of my domain. Okay, now I want everybody to just kind of look forward right here for a second and watch this, okay? Sorry. Trying to get rid of the highlighting, but it won't go away. Okay, that's okay. Everybody just check this out. I'm highlighting anything that was ever on the bottom. You don't have to do this, just watch. Bottom, 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 bottom. And then the yellow one, okay? Every one of those things has to be a restriction, okay? Well, 1 is never going to be 0. The 1 minus 2x I already did. So the only thing that's on the bottom that I haven't addressed yet is what, everybody? The x, right? So x can't be 0 is your other restriction, and that's it, okay? So you have to look throughout the entire problem, okay? Yes, sir? You can do comma 0, yes. Yeah, I asked that question specifically last semester and they said it was fine. Okay? Okay, let's do the next one. F of g, or g of f of x. So now this one's easier, just so you know. So I'm going to take this f of x and replace it with what f of x is, which is x plus 3 over x minus 2. Now I'm going to go into this g of x right there, and where I see this x, I'm going to replace it with that fraction. So I have 1 over x plus 3 over x minus 2. Everybody look forward for a second. Everybody look forward when you can, okay? Look at how I've written that. That's a problem. That makes people confused, what I've done right there. What didn't I do that I need to do? Make the main one long, right? So then that's the guy I write as the division symbol. So which one's the main one? Well, guys, look at this g of x. It's 1 over. So it's this guy that's main. So make it big. Now, this is the reason this is easy. I don't have to get any common denominators. I can go ahead and write it as a division. So this is 1 divided by x plus 3 over x minus 2. Make it a multiplication, flip the second guy upside down. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything, so my answer is x minus 2 over x plus 3. Can I cancel the x's? Yes or no? You cannot. Everybody look right here and understand, okay? Because I feel like some of you don't understand this. Look. Person, oops, didn't mean to do that. Check this out. Easy to think about. Look. Person, 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 person. 4 people. They're really called terms. 4 people. The only way you can cancel x's is if everybody has an x. Does everybody have an x? No. The 2 and the 3 don't have an x, so you can't do that. Cannot do that. So you highlight it and you're done. Okay? And then we're supposed to find domain. Look at everything that was ever in the denominator. Look at this. Green. Oh my goodness, it's taken my pen a second to transition from a pen to a highlighter, so I keep doing pen. Okay, all those things right there, restrictions, because they're all in the denominator at some point. So the x minus 2 gives me a restriction that x cannot be 2. The x plus 2 gives me a plus 3 gives me a restriction that x cannot be negative 3. And the x plus 3 is in the answer in the, in the final answer, so I got that. So there's my domain. Okay, who says I'm totally good? Let me see. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's see what we've got here. 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're done. Okay, take your pencil, cut that guy in half. On this half, f of g of x. On this side, g of f of x. Guys, listen for 2 seconds, okay? As soon as you write that down, I want you to stop, okay? A lot of people go ahead of me, okay? I know I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it again. There is 0 benefit to going ahead of me. You have homework. So you're going to spend 1 hour before you come back to class making sure you know what you're doing. So I think some of you like to go ahead because you're like, I know how to do this, right? But there's all these little details that I'm telling you along the way, okay? And Abby and I already told you that final is so full of details. Detail here, detail here, detail here. And if you miss the details when I'm telling you, you're going to miss it when you take tests and quizzes in the final, okay? So please stick with me, okay? Please stick with me and just listen to everything that is said because it's all important, okay? Okay, here we go. So this is f of x over 2 plus 3 because that's what g of x is. Now go into that f of x, and right here, where you see an x, you replace it with x over 2 plus 3. So everybody go 2 parenthesis, x over 2 plus 3, close your parenthesis, minus 6. This is not an x equals answer. This is the right-hand side. That's all it is. Someone tell me with one word what you would do right now. What would you do? Distribute. Yeah. What are you distributing, DA? The 2. Sure. So 2 times x over 2 is just an x. Those 2's cancel. 2 times 3 is a 6. Then go minus 6. So 6 minus 6 goes away. You get an x, and you're done. Let's do the next one. Go right there. Replace f of x with what f of x is. Let me write that underneath. So I'm finding g of 2x minus 6. Go into that g of x, and right there, put in 2x minus 6. So you have 2x minus 6 over 2 plus 3. Tell me what to do. You can really say it with one word. Not that I'm restricting you to one word. You just reduce. See this fraction? Look, person, person, person. Does 2 go into all those things? Yes. So 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 2 one time. You don't have to write the one on the bottom. Plus 3, negative 3 plus 3 gives me an x, and you're done. Are they always going to be equal to x? No. This one just so happened to be. Okay? All right. Now, this is a little bit tough. Okay? Some of you, your brain's going to click immediately, and you're going to go, I totally get this. Some of you, it's going to take a minute. Okay? I don't think this is going to be on anything that Weber State gives you. I don't think it's going to be on a final. Okay? Okay, look right here. They give you the h of x. So they give you the answer, and they want you to give them f of x and g of x. Everybody draw an arrow right there to that f that's on the outside. And I want you to put start with f of x. If they said g of f of x, you would start with the g. So whatever's on the outside is where you start. Okay, so look right here. On all these problems, we're going to start with the f, because that's what's on the outside. Okay, I want my f of x to look almost exactly like my h of x. Then I have to figure out what g of x would be to replace with x down here to get this. Okay, I know it's tough. It's a little awkward at first. Does anybody know, is anybody following me and can come up with an idea for f of x? Go ahead, you guys are so smart. Every single one of you is so smart. Say it again. Okay, good. So, square root of x. Now watch. If I were to take my eraser and get rid of the x, what would I have to put in its place to get this? Somebody tell me. 2x minus 3. Sure. So there's one right there. Erase the x, replace it with the other one, which is 2x minus 3, and you get exactly that. Okay? Let's do another one. Everybody keep labeling them. F of x and g of x. There's another one that's pretty easy. There's really like a ton of these. There's another one. DA, do you know? 1 over x would, it would totally work, because then I could figure it out. But I think it's going to be tougher than what we need to. Okay? Anybody else? Something that looks just about like this, almost exactly the same. How about this? The square root of x minus 3. Looks almost the same. Then if I erase the x, what would I have to put in its place to get this? Somebody tell me now. Go ahead, I can't hear you. What would I have to put right here to make it look like that? Come on. 2x. Yeah. So that would be that. Okay, let's do this one. Draw a line. Give me another f of x and another g of x. Okay? Okay, start with f of x. Make it look almost like h of x. Just a little bit different. Okay? I'm not going to tell you, you're going to tell me. Somebody tell me what to let f of x be so I can plug in g of x and get what I'm supposed to? Jackson, do you know? Don't tell anybody. Are you telling? He knew it? Okay, I was going to say, somebody answer, but not Reagan, because I know Reagan understands. I want somebody else to speak out. Jackson, do you know? You kind of seem like you know. Go ahead.
1 over x.
Okay, yay. 1 over x. And then, man, by this point, everybody can answer the second one, and you guys are not answering. Look, if I take this x and got rid of it, what would I have to replace it with to get this? Every person in the room is talking to me. What would it be? X squared minus 2. Okay, let's come up with one more. Make it look almost like the h of x. Okay, somebody tell me. Somebody that has not spoken up yet. Go ahead, Skylar.
1 over x minus 2.
Yay. Do you see how some people, man, it just clicks so fast? 1 over x minus 2. Then imagine erasing the x. What would I have to replace it with to get that? That would be x squared. Looks like that. Okay, who says I get this? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Okay, let's do the next one. Start with the guy that's on the outside. What's on the outside, they told me that f of g of x, which is equal to h of x. So I always start with that, whatever's out there. Okay? Somebody else, tell me what to do. Make it look almost exactly like h of x, but not quite exactly the same. No. Anybody that's answered, you are not allowed to answer. Okay, I want somebody else. Sam, can you think of one?
So are these just like the last one?
Just like the last ones, yeah? What do you think? Just try. It's okay if you don't get it.
I guess x minus 3 plus 1.
Okay, x minus 3 plus 1. But then how am I supposed to square it by replacing something with x? You know what I mean? It's not going to do it. Try again. You're going to get it, bud. Try again. See this right here, Sam? Look. Make it look almost exactly like that. Somebody help him. It's okay. You're going to get it. Somebody that hasn't spoken up yet. Go ahead. X squared plus 1. Now you knew. Why didn't you raise your hand and share when I said somebody tell me? Why? Okay, everybody write x squared plus 1. Sam, you tell me. Look right here. If I erased x right there, what would I have to put in its place to get that? Tell me.
X minus 3.
You're exactly right. See, you can do it. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Okay. X plus 1. If I erase the x plus 1, watch me erase it. What would I have to put in its place to get that? Every person in the room better be talking to me. What is it? X minus 3 squared. Yeah. So that's it. Replace those. Right, g of x equals and f of x equals, so you're being thorough. Okay? All right, question 6. We've got a word problem. Okay? Here's a function. This one's kind of tough. C of f equals 5/9 f minus 32 converts Fahrenheit into Celsius. This function converts Celsius into kelvins. Find a function that converts Fahrenheit into Kelvin. Okay, everybody look right here. A couple of things I want to say. This is super important, kind of tough. Okay, look right here. See this C of F? The of F part tells you that the only variable you have on that side is that. You would never see something like this, guys. C of X equals 5/9 times F minus 32. That doesn't make sense. Whatever variable is here must be listed right here. Those have to match. Who says, I understand what you're saying to me? Okay, so what I want you to do is to rewrite it without the of F. So everybody write C equals 5/9 times F minus 32. That's all that means. Look at the next one. K of C, and then I've got a C over there. So this right here is kind of not necessary, the of C and the of F. I can see with my eyes that there's a C over there. On the upper one, I can see with my eyes that there's an F over there. So why are you saying of F of C? Okay, so my second equation is k equals c plus 273. Okay, you're supposed to write the of f of c. It's function notation, but that's what it means. Okay, now this is the hard part, so I want you to watch. Okay, this right here, this equation right here, it says converts Fahrenheit into Celsius. So the Fahrenheit is on the right and the Celsius is on the left. This one converts Celsius to kelvins. So the Celsius is on the right and the kelvins is on the left. So what they list first needs to be on the right. What they list second needs to be on the left. So look, find a function that converts Fahrenheit. So everybody do an equal sign and put an F on the right, just like we've done before, into kelvins. That might be the toughest part of the whole problem right there. Over on the right-hand side with the F, I want you to add like wiggles. Those wiggles are just more stuff over there, more numbers. But the point is, the K is on the left and the F is on the right. Okay? Now this is easy. Everybody in this room knows how to do substitution, right? So I want K equals. I want this equation. But I don't want a C, I want an F. Well, I know that C is 5/9 times F minus 32. So all I'm going to do is take this guy right here, which is C, and substitute it in for C. That's all I'm doing. So then I have kelvins equals C, which is 5/9 times F minus 32 plus 273. That's it. Now I've got my F on the right and the kelvins on the right, on the left. So they give me a Fahrenheit, I give them a Kelvin. Now they want you to write this as function notation. So now we're going to go back and write K of F. So it means that's what K is equal to, and the variable on the right is an F. Who says I understand that? Raise your hand, let me see. Okay, good. Okay, now we're moving on. It says you don't have to simplify, so leave that be. And then question B, determine 80 degrees Fahrenheit in Kelvin. So now you're going to use that equation up above, guys. Everybody go K of 80, because your Fahrenheit is 80, is equal to 5/9, parenthesis, 80 minus 32 plus 273. Okay, grab your calculator. Okay, everybody go 5 divided by 9, parenthesis, 80 minus 32, close it off, plus 273, hit enter, and we're rounding it to the nearest whole Kelvin, so it is 300 Kelvin, and that's your answer. Okay, here's example 7. This is important. What's the difference between this with an open circle and the next one that has a closed circle? Well, this one right here means what? Can anybody tell me? What does a dot mean in math, everybody? It means multiply. Yeah. So this means f of x multiplied by g of x. And maybe off to the side, write multiply. This is composition of functions. That means f of g of x, like that. So in a sentence, that means plug g of x in for x into f of x. So take your g of x, plug it in for x in your f of x equation. So a closed dot means multiply. The open dot means plug the one on the right into the one on the left. Who says gotcha? Let's see. Okay, great. Okay. Now we're going to do composition of functions with a table. Okay. Remember, if this is a number, you guys, you start on the right. So everybody look and find g of -3. So if x is a -3, what's your g of x? A 0. So that means f of 0. Now go to an x value of 0. What's your f of x? 6. That's your answer. Okay, let's do another one. This one here is g of f of -4. Let's find f of -4. Watch, guys. Go to an x value of -4. Move to the f of x. What do you get? -2. Now you find g of -2. Now -2 is an x value, guys. So go to a -2x value. Go down to g of x. What do you get? -1. Who says I'm with you? Give me some feedback. Okay, great. This one looks weird because it's g of g. Okay, well watch what happens. -2 is your x value. Go here. What's your g of x? -1. So now you're finding g of -1. Go to a -1x value. Go to your g of x. What do you get? -2. That's it. Okay, who says I'm good? Let me see. Okay, great. So look at this assignment right here. Supplemental worksheet, composite functions 1 through 25. That's the worksheet that was right there when you picked it up, okay? Do it on your own paper, and then there's a few review problems to do with it, okay? Questions?